quick review of this Spear & Jackson hedge trimmer. I'm going to show you how I set it up, how I used it. I'm using it in two different setups, a hedge and an actual large tree, you could say. This is the cordless trimmer from Argos. They've got it on deal, so I picked it up for £76. I bought this with my own money and I'm actually using it for the garden. There's two hedges that need trimming. I'm going to walk through and talk to you about setting it up, what I think about it, how good is it. It's only 18 volts. Is that enough power to use to clear up tree leaves and also hedges? It comes in a nice case to protect the actual cutting element of it. And there's two sections to it. First thing to keep in mind is it can't be used without the pole, so you have to use it in its full extended pole mode, and that means that you have to screw it together. So you'll see here it clips together. There's a couple of little lining up points and you screw it down. I'll show you a little close up here of the instruction manual in case you bought this and you don't have the instruction manual. You can pause and just look at this setup phase. There's a couple of steps in there. Charger, battery, cordless. Obviously it's a lot better than corded. I saw one in Lidl which was about £69. However, that was corded and you had to actually buy an extension with it in order to use it, because the extension cord on the unit itself is very short. So I like that this is cordless. It's got a button which lets you 90 degrees hedge trim the top of it, and it cuts up to about 1.5 centimeters thickness tree. It comes with a charger. The charger has a nice long cable as well as a battery which is 18 volts. So there's a couple of questions that I've seen around this, so I'm going to answer some of those. The batteries from other Spear & Jackson garden equipment you can't really use alongside this one. They probably fit, but they don't guarantee you be able to use it, and you can't use it without the pole. The cordless element cutting size of this unit itself, you can cut up to 45 centimeter blade length, and the tooth gap is about 16 millimeters, which is about 1.6 centimeters. But I'm going to show you what it can cut and you can see how well it performs. Overall, it did the job I wanted it to do. You'll notice the tree from next door is overgrown to our section. This basically means there's not as much light coming in, and our plum tree is not getting all the light it could do. So I'm just trimming some of the leaves and branches away from the boundary just to keep it on one side so there's enough light coming through. And you'll note here, I'll show you roughly what it's cutting. That there I'll say is about a centimeter, just under a centimeter's thickness, but it was quite a hard wood type tree, so it's just nice that I was able to cut through it easily. I will show you it performing on hedges as well. So I've done a section where I actually trimmed the hedge. It cuts through quite a few different types of tree. You'll see here this is quite a thick one, and it cut through very nicely and easily. Again, it makes it nice and easy. The branch, I will say it's quite heavy. You have to use a harness, and after a while you feel it in your shoulders, because the whole unit is using it for about 30 minutes. You will feel it, and it took me about 30 minutes to clear away the tree here. And then I also used it on a hedge to see how well it performs. So what am I thinking for the price? I paid £76 for it. It was on a deal, and normally it's a higher price. Let me check what the price is normally. It's about £95. Remember, this is a cordless unit, and it makes it easier because you don't have to have a cord around you, and you can reach quite high with this. You'll see I'm 5'8", and I can easily reach out and cut with this comfortably. Overall, just keep mindful of where you're pointing it, and keep it 90 degrees basically away from you, and try and do it so that the branches you're cutting are falling away from you, because otherwise they end up falling in your head. And I would advise putting, if it's summer, just put long length sleeves on and a hat maybe, just because things drop out of the tree and then they're going to hit you on your head, and it's just a bit of safety for yourself. You see here it spins, and you can use it in different angles. I found it locks in position in like 45 degrees, 90 degrees, and just straight up. So overall is a nice setup. You'll see here I've managed to cut quite a lot of extra overhang off, which would have been quite difficult if I had to use a ladder. I was away from the fence. You'll see I've got a little bed here, a flower bed as well as a bench, so I didn't have to move those because this had long reach. I was able to cut over those. So overall, you'll note I'm doing the small city gardenscape here, and it does need maintenance now and again. I also have a hedge outside which I'm going to show you as well. It's that type of hedge that it's kind of like a communal area, and normally all the neighbors will twitch their curtains as soon as there's a small noise, but they see you working. They're not going to twitch the curtains, they're not going to come and help you. Even though this technically doesn't belong to me, I thought I'll give it a little clean up just so that it looks a little bit more tidy. So you'll notice here, this is a hedge type of growth. It's like, what would I say? What type of plant is this? It's like a, what would... could say like a hawthorn type of situation. It's quite prolific. Every year it kind of dies back and comes again. So it's not evergreen. I'm not entirely sure what type of plant it is, but it's on the opposite side and it just keeps overgrowing onto this side. So whenever I take my motorbike out, it just gets in the way as it overgrows. So what I was able to do is just give you a quick idea of how it's growing here at the moment. It's coming over, but it's very bushy. So I don't want it to really look nice. It's not an idea of making it look interesting. It's just to cut it back basically so that the growth is not as prolific on this side. So you'll see here, using the trimmer itself, you need to get a nice balance on it, and because this is quite dense, it took me a few push attempts through it. You can change it 90 degrees here, you'll note, and you can take the top off as well. However, considering how thick the branches were in this, it did do okay. Maybe a little bit more power would have been nice. I charged it for about half an hour and then let it go. I didn't fully charge the battery, but you can see here where there's lighter, it's kind of cutting through quite nicely. So maybe where there's 5 to 10 branches is doing okay, but you'll see towards the end of this clip how thick the inner bush area of the branches were and how it cut through. So you'll notice that I'm just kind of slowly pushing through, and it is quite heavy, I will have to say. After the hour I did it, I did feel my arms slightly aching. So there is definitely an element of balancing it out. But you'll see where the fence is alongside that, it cut through those very nicely and easily. It has got a harness with it which you can rest on your shoulder. I didn't really figure that out until I finished everything, and then I figured out actually I could take a lot of the weight on my shoulder and pivot it, if that makes sense, at a low angle. I'll show you that in a second. See, I'm wearing the harness now, but not really in the correct position. And as I'm walking through, you can see there's quite a lot of branches there, probably 15-20 branches at a time is cutting through, because it's quite thick in the upper section. And what will happen is, as time passes, this will come through. So overall, what do I think of this? I think it's actually quite good. You'll see it cuts off the top nicely. I was able to get a nice shape with it. If you have a garden hedge, I might have gone with a smaller handheld option, which is actually half the price. But however, I am happy that I bought this long pole version, because I did not have to worry about a ladder or any type of platform just to get the upper sections. I basically did all of this standing up, and I'm not that tall anyway. So overall it did well. You'll see here, this is how the harness system works. See, if you get it in the right angle and adjust it, you can actually use it and pivot it from the back. So it works a lot nicer. So your shoulders taking the weight as opposed to you holding the whole weight system up. So again, I was able to easily cut and reach around higher sections of this wall. This is easily 7 foot, 6-7 foot, probably bigger, 8 foot towards the top of this. And overall it cuts through nicely, and the blades were good. I think I'm quite happy it did the job. The price was reasonable for a long pole system. I've seen others out there for over £100. So for £76, this is a good deal. If you're thinking about buying it, definitely will get the job done. You can even cut some thicker branches with it using it. So it will work and get your job done. Hopefully this helps you if you're thinking about buying this. And I'll see you on the next video of my small city garden updates.